Can we give it up for Spetters? We're going to have about a 10-minute break in just a moment here. But for those of you who have stuck around and are not going to try and connect Spetters with Starship Troopers today, I'd love for you to get your ticket stub out. I want to give you a couple of treats here. We got number 44. Hey, number 44, nice. As you've been compiling all these Verhoeven films, I'm hoping that you're finding some connections between them. And I'd like to offer you this RoboCop poster, if you would like. There you go. Beautiful. And it's odd to if you were here last night, let's say with Showgirls, one of the most infamous pieces of dialogue in Showgirls is eating dog food. And what's so ironic is that people who laugh at Verhoeven's films because they only watch one movie don't understand, in fact, he's dealt with these subject matters for decades. So I find it very disappointing that people dismiss Showgirls as if he didn't understand what was going on, that this was just random. These are issues, if we're talking about RoboCop, this was straight from Spetters. Of a man who was trying to achieve something larger than middle-class life, and suddenly he is a cyborg. The issue of cyborgs is very real. This is not a science fiction subject. In fact, many of us in this room are cyborgs. We have a machine that we can't live without. It's literally pumping insulin into us. Without batteries, we would die. Many of us, it's our cell phones or our Bluetooths. Half man, half machine. RoboCop is a very, very serious movie. In fact, who was he, RoboCop, working for?
Omni.
Right, so at first he's trying to become the greatest cop there is, and then secondly he thinks that he's working for a private police station, and thirdly, a lot of people would say that RoboCop in fact is working for a higher power. And if you've noticed in every one of our Verhoeven films, Jesus is always in the background, including Showgirls.
Right. Jesus is coming soon.
Right? And this struggle that his characters are having is very complicated. He doesn't have just one way to deal with a character. He's not just going to go beat up a guy because he robs gay people. And those gay people will get angry. These characters are struggling to not become a victim in our society. And I'm curious, there's a word I brought up on Friday and Saturday, and I'm hoping some of you have thought about this word. To hate human beings. What is this? Say it again?
Misanthrope.
Right? Misanthropy or a misanthrope. He's worked with this in almost every one of his films. This new movie, Elle. Every one of his characters are anti-heroes. Every one of them you could hate if you wanted to, or you could try to overcome this. And we see this in Spetters. You're laughing in one scene and then horrified with them in the next. How do you deal with that? What we're walking into here is Starship Troopers. And Starship Troopers was dismissed as Beverly Hills 90210 in space. That was the review in Portland. Many fans love this movie because it's so bad that it's good. As if Verhoeven and our screenwriter, Ed Neumeier, had no clue what they were doing. These movies have slipped through the cracks of Hollywood. That's what true subversive art is. The people don't notice what's going on. And eerily enough, Starship Troopers is going to be quite, it will resonate in a very powerful way, perhaps in a way that in the past 20 years people didn't actually see on the surface. Every one of these actors are playing it completely straight. I don't know if these actors know what Paul Verhoeven is doing. We were discussing that with Showgirls. Elizabeth Berkley gave it her all, trying to succeed in a Hollywood film about someone trying to succeed in an entertainment world. But this is a science fiction film, and it is written by the same guy who did RoboCop. So hopefully we'll find a full circle for this whole weekend. How about, who collects VHS tapes? Very few of us still have them here. Come on down. We gotta look at this Twin Peaks shirt. This is last night. Twin Peaks announced its new series with Kyle MacLachlan. I found it very appropriate. We were showing Showgirls with Kyle MacLachlan. I'm going to give you the director's cut of Spetters on VHS. Okay. Do we have a number 78? Is number 78 still here? How about 13? You're looking at your ticket if you don't have your ticket. All right, last number here, number 39. That's the number 39.
All right.
Very exciting. Now I bring this up because this is coming in 2017 as a little celebration of Jean-Claude Van Damme. This is Time Cop on VHS. Now, MiDNiTES for MANiACS is its 15th anniversary. We've been playing movies that are underrated and overlooked. Often they're made fun of. And the series has gone from the 4-Star Theatre to the Castro to the Red Vic. Here at the Roxie on next Wednesday, just this coming Wednesday, is going to be at the Alamo Draft House with Peter Bogdanovich in person. He's showing What's Up Doc and Noises Off. And to get to re-watch a movie, or perhaps watch it for the first time, in a space where you can try to understand what the movie's doing as opposed to go out on a date, get really drunk and have a good time, or dismiss the film from the beginning to the end. In Starship Troopers, I'm betting you have been honed by rewatching the movie. Who's seen this film more than 5 times? Let's see it. Can any of you give a good experience watching Starship Troopers, where you had more than one person in the room? Maybe you had a party. Does anyone have Starship Trooper parties? Yeah, you had a Starship Trooper party? Can you give us a rundown on what happened?
Let's watch Starship Troopers.
Brilliant, I love it. Now when a cult following starts, right, as people start to memorize lines, and we had this happen with Showgirls last night, or go back to one of the all-time greats of cult films, is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's a movie that bombed terribly when it was originally released, and then audiences made it good. As in, they gave the film new life. And the filmmakers and actors talked a lot about that. They were just trying to make a straightforward film, and audiences seemed to find something in it that maybe even the artists were unaware of. I would argue with you that Paul Verhoeven knew exactly what he was doing with Starship Troopers. Now, I don't want to talk anything about the movie, because who has never seen Starship Troopers? Raise your hand. Wonderful. Can we give it up to our projectionist who's projecting tonight? A lot of clapping this weekend, but this is a 35mm print that was made 20 years ago, and this is its 20th anniversary. And we've had some hyper-violence in Paul Verhoeven's films. When he's working in the Netherlands, in his Dutch films, he was often able to maybe say exactly how he felt. And like the filmmaker Fritz Lang, he had to try to change that when he came here to America. And this is going to be very ironic cinema, satirical cinema, and come back to this idea of a misanthrope. When the extreme violence happens in Starship Troopers, don't feel weird if someone is laughing and clapping in the most sociopathic way right next to you. One, it's therapeutic. But two, this is exactly the confusion that these filmmakers, transgressive filmmakers, create. There's a screening that I was at the Cannes Film Festival for David Cronenberg's A History of Violence. And 2 film critics literally started to beat each other up in the film, because one person was laughing hysterically and the other one was crying. And that confusion is something that Verhoeven is a master at. Now, there are other films that I'm hoping that you will continue to watch or go out and watch. One of them is Elle, his new film that just won 2 Golden Globes this past week. It's playing over at the Opera House. The reference in Spetters to one of his first films, Turkish Delight. This is the movie that made Rutger Hauer a star, Paul Verhoeven an international star. Spetters was the movie that made him not a star, and he got kicked out of the Netherlands for this film because people misunderstood it. They thought it was racist and homophobic and sexist, and I'm sure what they were really feeling is this idea of him trying to confront human beings with how fucked up they are. And Starship Troopers maybe does it better than any film in the 1990s. Showgirls is a good rival. As I've said before, Alejandro Jodorowsky has called this movie the only great American film of the past 30 years. He is a true connoisseur and pioneer of alternative films. He made a movie called El Topo and Holy Mountain. They are very difficult to understand. I know a lot of friends who want to like it. And I can say the more times that you work with these movies, the closer you can to kind of getting a handle on them. I hope that Starship Troopers is something like that for you. Can we give it up for a very particular actor in this movie? He starred in the film, and he, like we had with Elizabeth Berkley, never made it because of how poorly the reviews were for Starship Troopers. Casper Van Diem. Clap for him, please. No one has clapped for him. There are a couple of sequels to Starship Troopers, and I can officially tell you to go and watch Starship Troopers Part 2 after this. The writer of this film, he in fact directed it, Ed Neumeyer.
That was 3.
No, it was Part 2. Thanks, Jack, though. Got you on one, finally. If you could put your cell phones away as we're starting to bring some people in here. We're just going to wait about 5 minutes or so, and we'll get this movie started. Thanks so much, you guys. This is MiDNiTES for MANiACS. All right, welcome back, everyone. Can we give it up for Paul Verhoeven here? He knows about this weekend, by the way. It was very close to him appearing. Not necessarily for this weekend, but we were going to do a special event of screening his film Black Book, which is a great film that you need to track down that is quite literal about confronting the Nazis and fascism. And it's constantly, he's constructed his films around Alfred Hitchcock or film noir, or in this sense, we've got science fiction films. And Starship Troopers is a movie that is being rebooted right now. It's going to be coming out later on, I think, this year or the beginning of next year. And it'll be very interesting to see what 20 years later people not only understood from Starship Troopers, but what people might have to say. Did anyone watch the remakes of any of these Verhoeven films? One, Total Recall, did anyone see this? Yes. Okay, did anyone see RoboCop? Yes. Okay. Now Verhoeven, most filmmakers have their own opinions of these remakes or reboots, and Verhoeven's main concern with modern films is that they're not funny. And I think that that's a great ingredient that people forget, is that he is funny. He knows that his movies are funny or satirical. He's got humor in them, but often it's misunderstood as stupidity. And I know I announced this last night, but Riff Tracks recently screened Starship Troopers. Riff Tracks are a group of people who talk throughout the film because they think they're funnier or smarter than the filmmaker. It's a disturbing issue that you can pack an entire house of 1,400 people who want to make fun of a film, and you can get a nice handful of people who want to come out and try and listen to the film. And it means a lot to me that you would come out this weekend. The Showgirls screening last night, I really had waited 20 years to try and show that movie in a neo-sincere way. And this is a concept for many of us who grew up in a very ironic couple of decades, where you literally can make fun of Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when you go to the Castro, people make fun of how fucking stupid that film is. And so this is the extent of where irony has sort of taken us.
is that you don't really even know what you're saying. You just think you're funny by making fun of something or someone. And neo-sincerity is understanding you could make fun of Starship Troopers, but if you don't, it actually might be smarter than you realize. We've got an actress named Denise Richards. Okay, let's give it up for Denise Richards. Clap for her, right? You grew up with her. You know you loved her in Wild Things. You know you loved her in Drop Dead Gorgeous. It's up to you to write reviews about these actors and filmmakers so that the next generation will respect them. I grew up literally reading Peter Bogdanovich's reviews of screwball comedies that no one thought were good. Bringing Up Baby and His Girl Friday, those movies were terrible for the audiences of the time, and it took film critics later to look back onto them and say, wait a second, what if Bringing Up Baby was actually talking really, really fast to get past the production code censors so that they wouldn't even understand what they were saying? No one had thought of that until they'd done it. I'm hoping that we can do this with Starship Troopers here because there's an actor that I love in this movie. His name is Gary Busey. Yes. He's got a lot of teeth. And Gary Busey had a son named Jake Busey. And Jake Busey is going to show up in this movie, and I think he might be the only actor who's in on the joke. I'm not sure. But there are a ton of Paul Verhoeven actors that you've seen throughout this weekend. I really hope to see you perhaps at the Alamo Drafthouse on Wednesday. As I said, Noises Off and What's Up Doc with Peter Bogdanovich. In February, here at the Roxie, we're showing Hayao Miyazaki's My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away, and Princess Mononoke. All of them will be in Japanese with English subtitles and they will 35mm prints. And then for Spike Lee's 60th birthday, we are screening Do the Right Thing in Crooklyn, along with Malcolm X and Bamboozled. They will all be, 3 of them will be 35mm prints, and it means a lot to the Roxie as well as to MiDNiTES for MANiACS that you would spend your hard-earned money to help support this. You guys, thank you so much for coming out this whole entire weekend. MiDNiTES for MANiACS. Give it up for Starship Troopers. Thank all of you for staying through the credits. It's something I teach in my film classes. If you stay through the credits, you are less likely to dismiss a movie, any movie. You see how many people work on it, realize that you haven't done jack shit in your own life. It's a perfect movie. I want to wish all of you a Happy New Year, 2017. I feel like this is the movie for you to start your new year with. I want you to not lose your sense of humor this year. I want you to be very careful what you say. It's very easy watching Starship Troopers to root for Nazis. And those of you cheering and getting excited and saying the ironic statements from the movie, it's this type of complicated storytelling that confuses critics and people. Robert Heinlein's book is being adapted, not this movie, but the book is being adapted in the reboot, and it will be very interesting to see how people respond to that during wartime. This is life during wartime, and Verhoeven has always thought about these concepts. Perhaps they become even more important as we head off into this new year. You guys, thank you for spending the whole weekend with me, with Paul Verhoeven, and with the Roxie Theatre. I want to thank all of them. Carl, one last time for our projections. Holding that 35mm print together. Thank you so much for that throughout this whole weekend. I hope to see you on Wednesday if you want to come out for What's Up Doc. And email me, or I'll give you a business card here. Hopefully we've got some good programs and programming throughout the rest of the year. Good night.